Happy New Year! Hello, I'm Fantastic, and today I'm going to be talking about the new Mystics and Spectres Rare Machine or Rare Machine cards that have just gone live in North America. So this is a brand new series of cards that is gung-ho owned, which in turn means it should be returning on a regular basis, which means these cards should be buffed, and there is less urgency to roll, so to speak. But at the same time, because this is a debut event, the cards featured here tend to be at their relative strongest, and that's just a general statement for most cards. They tend to be when they are released at the peak of their power creep, so to speak. You might get future buffs in ahead of time, but those don't necessarily bring them up the same power level they had beforehand. There is a chance it could, but at the same time, there is no chance if you know that they're good right now. They'll keep you going for a modest period of time due to how fast power creep changes cards out in pad. But the point of the matter is, these cards are strong right now. They are worth rolling, and it will be following a similar template to the Sin Dragon and Key Heroes event, which we had several months ago. And the idea is that all of these Mystics and Spectres cards will be lumped in together with the Rare Machine. So part of the rolls would be the featured cards here. The other rolls would be Pantheons and whatnot, which you kind of saw in the Sin Dragon Key Heroes event. So that is definitely a bit of a drawback. You're not guaranteed to get all of the new cards on any single roll, but it is still worth rolling in, and there are a couple other drawbacks. There will be no monster exchange system available for the top rarity cards, so if you want any of them, you either have to roll and get tremendously lucky, or you IAP and buy the 7-star bundle pack, which apparently resets every week, so you have a 1 out of 3 chance to get the one you are actually hunting for. But other than that, this event is solid because you have weapon assists on every single card. There is value across all rarities. Like, getting a bottom rarity card will still be meaningful. It's not going to be a complete waste because weapon assists at least give every single card some sort of value. And this will return on a regular basis. We don't know when it will, but you don't have to worry about like missing out something. It will eventually return. But in terms of drawbacks, there is no monster exchange. You have to roll, and that can be frustrating because I got lucky in Sin Dragon Key Heroes. I don't know if I'll be just as lucky here, but it can be a frustrating aspect to roll many times and just come out empty-handed, so to speak, for the higher rarity cards. But other than that, this is still a solid event to roll in. Like, the bottom rarity cards are respectable. Like, you will find value from them. So, the first 7-star card is Sienna, and this individual here is tremendously strong, one of the most powerful leaders we're going to have available in the game. But before I talk about her in a bit more detail, I just want to preface by saying that all the 7-star cards feature the same base awakenings and a similar archetype for their leader skill. What they have is 3 skill boosts and skill bind resist, which means that they will provide some help for their 25-turn transforming needs. All these cards need 25 turns to transform. So this can greatly offset. With dual leaders, you have 6 of the 25, so only 19 between your 4 subs and 6 inherits. And the leader skills that they come with in their base form are oftentimes enough to stall and dance through, so you will be able to at least charge up and eventually transform. It's a little easier compared to the Key Heroes, which does lower that threshold, so to speak. But for Sienna in particular, once you do transform after 25 turns, you're left with a tremendously powerful leader who has 777 combo, double VDP, big stats all around, nice health, big attack, big recovery, just wonderful metrics. Their active skill provides 3 fire, 3 water, and 3 heart orbs. So you have your activation requirements because all you need to do to activate is match fire and water. So with 2 leaders, you have a continuous system chain of active skills to always activate. And being able to always activate means you have, your 441 times damage, which is huge, but it's a 75% damage reduction, which really sets them apart from other leaders. You have 2.25 times health, 75% damage reduction. You get +4 combos alongside of it. This is pretty spectacular because if you think about it, this is a similar bulk to Dark Loki. And I've had great success with Dark Loki, even though I'm missing like a good green card, I feel. But with Dark Loki, they have a similar amount of effective health. They have the same 2.25 times health, 75% damage reduction. You can't really die with Dark Loki, but the big issue is Dark Loki's attack multiplier is 196 times. That is significantly smaller than 441 times. Basically, your entire team got a 7 combo added to them for free, essentially, plus a bit more zest. Like, it's a massive difference in damage output. So damage output should not be an issue. And Sienna can actually VDP. This is an advantage they have over Gillian. Gillian does not have the chance to VDP because they don't have a VDP awakening. So they often rely on Grandis. And so for spawns with tremendously high amounts of effective health with Void mechanic, it can be a bit of a hurdle for Gillian by comparison. Sienna does not care. The main drawback, I'd say, is their active skill is a little weaker. Gillian's Tricolored Board Changer does provide a more meaningful effect. It means you don't really need to have poison or blind resist, but you don't have the ability to system it as easily. Gillian's, you'll have some turns where you're a bit more vulnerable, quote unquote. Sienna won't be. And with this high amount of effective health and always being able to activate every single turn, it's going to be difficult to kill you. Like, you have enough recovery to heal back up to full health. You have tremendous damage reduction. It's just an incredibly exciting leader, and I would love to acquire one for myself, even though I already do have a strong performing Gillian team. But I feel like Sienna is a bit more future-proofed. And the reason for that is because the damage reduction is 75%. Generally speaking, damage reduction is significantly better compared to flat HP. It's always going to be a better mechanic because gravities are a thing. And Gung-Ho is starting to release more gravities that are at or above 100%, which will kill any flat health multiplier teams. So damage reduction is your savior there. But they also will do gravity and then subsequent hits, which again, damage reduction is your savior. And unlike Gillian, this damage reduction takes effect throughout their full health bar. Gillian only gets damage reduction when above 50%. This is every single point. You could be at low health and still get the damage reduction and still possibly survive. So I feel like moving forward as Gung-Ho probably will start releasing more and more gravity-based spawns, Sienna will become stronger and stronger. For their weapon assist, they have a skill boost and a dragon killer, which is unique, which is interesting, but if you only got one Sienna, which is most likely the case, you should not be pursuing this weapon assist. This weapon assist will not provide anywhere near as much value. The opportunity cost is far too high. The next 7-star card, which is also wonderfully strong, is Ryu Mei. And again, in their base form, 25 turns to transform, 3 skill boosts, 1 skill bind resist. And once transformed, they have quadruple 7 combo, 2 Ls, and a bigger attack stat than most individuals. So damage output is definitely solved. For their active skill, it's a 3-turn cooldown, which gives you no skyfalls, 1 turn of increased combo count by +3, and creating 3 fire, light, and heart orbs. So a higher impact active skill compared to Sienna, but you do pay for it with 1 additional cooldown. The +3 combos definitely offsets the no skyfall clause. It's unlikely you're going to skyfall 3 or more combos, so this is definitely a fair trade. And their leader skill features a big attack multiplier and that same delicious 75% damage reduction. So tremendous bulk. But they have to use dragon and god types, so a bit more restrictive by comparison. Sienna could use anything. The giant subpool is definitely a big plus. Ryu Mei is a little bit more restrictive, but it's okay, you can get by. And in my opinion, I feel like they will perform best if you can system them. Kind of like Ferrule or even Yux. But Ferrule I find like is light, at least, so I find it has a better comparison. But the idea is with a 3-turn cooldown, with 2 leaders and 1 sub, you can use an active skill every single turn. And with an active skill every single turn, you are going to be dealing stupendous amounts of damage. You are going to have activation every single turn because all you need to do is match an L of fire or light orbs for that big damage reduction component. So if you make 3 out of your 5 orbs every single turn, you have 2 different colors to match an L, you're probably going to have that L every single turn. And even if you don't have that L, there is a chance that 2.25 times health may be enough. It may not be guaranteed, but it may be enough. So you have that bulk. So I feel like dual Ryu Mei is definitely a strong pairing, but with the introduction of like Santa Tama or Christmas Tamadra, it is a viable pairing because Christmas Tamadra has only flat HP and a similar activation requirement. So Ryu Mei definitely complements him because, as I mentioned before, flat HP is much weaker compared to damage reduction. So you now weave in damage reduction from Ryu Mei, you get the auto follow-up attack and bonus combos from the Tamadra. Lots of nice things going on together between the two. The only drawback is making that beautiful system is going to be obviously much harder. But at least with Ryu Mei and Santa Tamadra, you can hit those 10 combos for Santa Tama for those big, beautiful damage output. In terms of the drawbacks, I feel like without the system, they're definitely more risky by comparison because 5 fire and or 5 light orbs is definitely less consistent compared to like just 3 fire, 3 water for Sienna, who does system themselves anyway. So not activating or not having guaranteed activation every turn is definitely a little bit of a risk. Having a restriction to dragon and god types does close it down a little bit. And Ryu Mei themselves has issues VDPing. They don't have a VDP, so your leaders may not have void penetration damage, so you need to be mindful of the subs you bring and the type of content you are playing through. But at the same time, these are big multipliers. Like, these cards are definitely like power creeped for 2021. For their weapon assist, similar idea to the other 7-star cards in the sense that they have a killer and a skill boost, so a unique combination and a reasonable active skill. But as I mentioned, you want to make a system with them. A system will take you so much further than having this weapon assist. So if you do have duplicates, make a system. If you didn't have duplicates, don't make a system. You want to keep them in their base form. For the last 7-star is Mikash, and again, similar setup. They have triple skill boost at the bottom. I may have copy-pasted something wrong for a skill binder resist. Whoops! But they have 3 skill boosts in their base form, so that definitely helps. Without the skill binder resist, it could be a little bit dicier if you're having skill binds on turn or floor 1. But once transformed, they become an incredible feast or famine character. I feel like they have a bit of difficulty with their stalling. They need 2 dark combos, so you want to get those 25 skill boosts a bit more than other leaders. But once they transform, Feast and Famine, they have 400 times attack, so nice attack multiplier, 1 times health, 1 times recovery, and then 93.75% damage reduction. Like, what the fish? Like, basically, almost any attack you can survive. That's a little absurd, but the problem is activating for that massive damage reduction. They also have +4 combos and 2 follow-up attack with dual pairing, so tremendously strong leader skill. But they also give +5 seconds or 10 seconds with dual leaders, so Lucifer's Test and Shura Realm, should be so much easier by comparison. But you have flat movement time, you have big attack multiplier, 20 times attack per leader, and bonus combos when matching 2 or more colors. Any 2 colors, 400 times attack. Truly outrageous. You also get +4 combos. Like, pew, pew, pew. Like, this is kind of ridiculous. Like, I'm reading this and I'm thinking, if I had read this 1 year ago, I would have said, get out of here. There's no way that could happen. Power creep is a magical thing. And then, in order to trigger your stupendously high amounts of damage reduction, you need 3 or more dark combos, and you still get the auto follow attack with 2 colors. So 3 or more dark combos for the damage reduction. So 9 Dark Orbs for damage reduction. That is definitely a tall order. But on the bright side, it is doable with their active skill and using orb generating subs. And remember, you do get your attack multiplier without the triple dark combo. You can sweep a floor, and if there is no preemptive on the subsequent floor, you don't have to actually worry about having that damage reduction up. So you don't need 3 dark combos every turn. You only need 3 dark combos if you're going to take damage. That definitely gives a bit of flexibility. But their active skill creates 1 spinner for 3 turns on a 6-turn cooldown. So dual leaders, you can loop these spinners. And with the bonus 10 seconds of orb movement time, you definitely can cheese the spinner and get orbs out of it. Furthermore, their active skill also provides a row of dark orbs. So that's 2 dark combos right there. You can cheese out more from the spinner. You can trigger your activation. You can also utilize subs such as Sakura, Transforming Chris, Ina, Eva Unit 01, basically dark orb generators on low cooldowns in order to help provide a little bit of extra security in case you have a very undark board and your spinner may not provide enough for all of your combos. So I feel like it's definitely a high risk, high reward leader, but they have outrageously high damage potential. They have quadruple 7 combo, a huge attack stat, killers, VDP, they're all about the damage. It's like damage, damage, damage. So things will die. You will tank hits if you have dark combos. I think it's going to be quite an exciting leader to use. And even though I don't have any dark orb generators aside from Ina, I still would definitely love to try playing them. For their weapon assist, I like the fact that it's a machine killer for Shura Realm or World of Carnage, but I feel like if you only own a single copy, you really want to use their base form, I feel like. It's just such a strong leader. But if you do feel like it won't provide enough value, this is not a bad weapon assist by any means. You get 2 turn delay and a skill boost. So 3 effective skill boosts. You have unable to match orb effect, clear by 99 turns, and remove all binds. So a decent active skill as well. But I feel like their base form is definitely the form to pursue at this point in time. For the 6-star cards, you have to roll these. There's no way to acquire them. You can't IAP for them. You just have to get lucky. And for the first individual here, their base form, I feel, is not as strong. Their evolved form is much more exciting because they retain the same super resist setup. They have 7 combos. They have skill boost. But in their evolved form, they have double 7 combos, super blind resist, 5 skill boosts, double devil killer. And double devil killer is definitely meaningful. Like, there are a decent amount of devil spawns, and it's much more flexible than attacker killer. There are fewer attackers by comparison to devils, in my opinion, so I would definitely want to pursue the evolve form. It has more skill boost. It's just a happier card overall. And with this active skill, you get a single turn of 75% damage reduction and then reduce the defense by 75% and enhance fire and wood orbs. You're basically like super reincarnated Shiva. Very similar active skill. And after playing through Shura 2 or World of Carnage 2, I've come to value these large damage reduction shields more because there are several unavoidable, stupendously large attacks that occur within the dungeon. And being able to counteract that on a 7-turn cooldown is definitely meaningful. The super resist inclusion helps free up team building slots. I think it's just a strong card all around. We're just kind of waiting for a truly magical mono wood leader to take advantage of them, I feel. But at the same time, with their god and physical typing, if they can be slotted into other teams that doesn't necessarily have to be mono wood, they can still perform reasonably well because, well, they have a nice utility-based active skill. And if you do find their leader skill appealing, it is reasonably strong. You have to only match 6 or more combos, you get damage reduction by 50%, which is big, of course, like mentioned before, and auto follow-up attack when matching fire and wood. Not like Sienna's level, but still pretty strong overall. Definitely able to clear a good chunk of content. And if you pair with their base form, you get the auto follow-up attack. You get the bonus combos component, which makes your life a little easier, although you do sacrifice an attack multiplier. For their weapon assist, it's a healer killer and 4 enhanced wood orbs. As mentioned, mono wood doesn't have a stupendously strong leader to use it on, so I feel like this weapon assist won't be necessarily taken advantage of as much as possible. But that 2 turns of 75% damage reduction is meaningful, and that 2 turns of 100% defense break can help against those 2 billion defense spawns you do see in World of Carnage 2. For Uiki, whose name I may have mispronounced, in their base form, they have double healer killers, and I feel like it's just better to look at their evolved form because we have a very similar template, but you have god killers instead. So you trade a super poison resist for a super jam resist, so a little downgrade, but you have much more applicable killers, which I think is worth pursuing. And they are definitely a strong sub. For their active skill, they have a 1-turn cooldown, and I love 1-turn cooldowns because you get to have possibly a beneficial effect all the time, or you can inherit something of your choice over top and you just have a much easier time playing through content. And it just gives you flexibility. And with 7 combo and 10 combo, that is 10 times personal damage. If you throw in the double god killer, that's 90 times personal damage against god spawns. And god spawns are quite common, especially in Altarena 4, where the final spawns are god type. So if you are using Uiki and you can hit 10 combos on a regular basis, damage should not be an issue for the final spawns in AA4. Definitely going to make your life easier. And as a leader, they're reasonable as well. They have big attack multiplier, they have big damage reduction, and you just need to use an active skill every single turn, as well as matching 3 or more colors. I do believe you can match 3 or more colors, because that should be doable from every given board. So I feel like as a leader, they are still strong. Not obviously as strong as the transforming 7 stars, but still quite good overall. You could definitely clear a good chunk of content. For their weapon assist, they give full bind immunity, 40% blind resist, and double fire orb enhance. So a reasonable set of awakenings overall, and it all depends on what type of mono fire team you're playing for. I feel like this weapon assist is a little lower impact compared to their sub potential, because if you are, say, using Gillian as your primary mono fire team, blind resist is really not that big a deal, because with Gillian's active skill, you can change the board to a tricolor or tri-elemental with jammer, heart, and fire. So even if the whole board is dark, you can kind of see the shapes. So blind resist is definitely not that important for Gillian teams. So if you are using Gillian as your main mono fire team, this weapon assist is not that helpful. I don't think I really run blind or poison resist unless it naturally came with a card, just because it's not worth it because Gillian's active skill solves those problems. So with that in mind, I would be less inclined to use them. But for other mono fire teams, this could be possibly meaningful because you do get a nice plethora of beneficial awakenings, and an active skill that is reasonable because you do get at least a tricolor board changer and an RCV and orb movement time buff along with an orb unlock. So pretty useful stuff all around. For the next 6-star card, they have no primary attribute, so just sub-attributes. So like Sophie, they do 100% damage as their final hit as a sub-attribute. Attacks go left to right, main, then sub-attribute. So it's a way to kind of possibly dodge color absorbs. But with their base form, I'm more inclined to do their evolved form because, again, better killers. We want to at least have meaningful killers. So with their evolved form, these 2 dragon killers are meaningful in Alt Arena 4. Again, Alt Arena 4 I feel like has lots of good counters now for this machine because you can have 5 skill boosts, respectable VDP damage, much bigger VDP damage if you have dragon spawns, which are all the dragons at the end of AA4. You have super jam resist and an active skill that is quite meaningful. The active skill reduces unable to match orb effects by 5 turns, bind and awoken binds by 5 turns, and then 3 turns of water skyfalls. So pretty nice jam-packed active skill. You do give yourself a steadier flow of water orbs, and you counteract 2 dangerous mechanics which are commonly seen in AA4. I feel like I'm saying AA4 quite a bit, but lots of these cards are well designed for countering AA4, and I feel like this would be quite a valuable card to have on your Yomi Norza teams because it does open up the possibilities of overcoming those unable to match orb effects, which are devastating on floor 3 because they take away your heart orbs, which you need. And again, dragon killers are meaningful in AA4. For their weapon assist, they have triple team health and double poison resist. So if you are in the market for double team health, or triple team health, this is meaningful. Amazokuzu, a name I can't pronounce, also has 3 team health, which is technically farmable, so there's a bit of overlap, and the poison resist may or may not be necessary, along with the fact that Amazuki has a longer base cooldown. So I inherit them on my Leona because I don't want her to charge up, and she won't because that's a long cooldown. 16 turns is not as long to dodge and inherit accidentally charging up, but this weapon is tremendously powerful for mono water teams because you basically have an upgraded effect from their base skill. You have a full unable to match orb effect clear, full bind and awoken clear, and 99 turns of water skyfalls. So I love water skyfall buffs for 99 turns. Like, it's going to create a steadier flow. Using those orb enhances are going to be delicious because they're going to come down more often. They're going to come down enhanced. Damage output is just flowing, and you have a meaningful active skill. Of course, the big problem with its Goldfish Talisman is that it is only going to be truly meaningful on mono water teams because those 99 turns of Skyfalls are not going to help anyone else by comparison. For the last 6-star card, the Spider Lady has triple balance killer, super poison resist, but balance killer is so niche and situational, I don't really think it's going to have as much applications because the Revolve form has triple machine killers. And machine killers are relevant because of Shura Realm World of Carnage, and the fact that you have 27 times personal damage is meaningful. Your main attribute is probably going to get close to that damage cap. Your sub-attribute is still going to be pumping out respectable numbers, and you also have super blind resist, L, and Tape or Cloud. So quite a bit of utility smashed into a single card with a 3-turn base cooldown, which is easy enough to inherit over, or it creates an L of hearts or L of light orbs if you need a bit of extra orb generation. And it can overwrite any attack debuff because it nerfs wood attack. So a nice balance of utility plus damage output. And the main drawback is their damage output is just significantly less compared to other machine killing options. She cannot gain machine killer latent, so definitely a drawback there. Pixel Napoleon does outpace them in damage output. Pixel Napoleon outpaces anyone for damage output. And there is obviously going to be a limited number of spaces for cards you can bring on team. You need to have a certain amount of utility. So from a raw damage point of view, Pixel Napoleon is obviously superior, but the Spider Lady here has significantly more utility, and if damage output is not as mandatory, having all of this utility will make a large difference when playing through challenging content. So it's a matter of figuring out what you need on your team. Do you need more raw damage, or do you need more utility with respectable damage output? For their weapon assist, they have 2 L's, and this is kind of like Zerakor's weapon assist because it does add 2.25 times attack to the owning card, and you want to obviously utilize them on a team that matches L's. And right now, at this point in time, teams like Alj, so Alj likes to match Ls, as well as Christmas Tomadra and Ryu Mei from the 7-star from this event. They all want to match Ls, and sticking this weapon assist onto those cards does provide a significant damage boost to your damage dealing cards, which again can be meaningful. For Alj, she is now 54 times attack against any spawn. That is great to have overall. If you have killers, even more damage output. Point of the matter is, it's a way to layer in damage, but the obviously drawback is not many teams want to match Ls. It doesn't provide resist, so it doesn't help you cover or hedge against other mechanics. And the active skill itself, it does create you 2 Ls of light, which does give a nice amount of damage zest, which could even be rearranged to a VDP, as well as a small attack buff. For the 5-star cards, we have a Birdman, which just makes me chuckle thinking of the name. And the Birdman, his main appeal is having some god and dragon killing potential, but it's more so for the 15-15 board changer of Fire and Light Orbs. A 15-15 board changer always produces 10 combos on a 6x5 board, and it's 10 combos that are easy to solve. It can also be rearranged into any other pattern you want. You can have 2 VDP boxes and 6 combos total. The point is, you have guaranteed board every single time. You don't have to think, you don't have to stress. It's great for ranking dungeons, great for farming, and for ranking dungeons, the fact that you can get 10 combos super fast and mindlessly makes it meaningful. And basically you need to choose, do you want to have some killer damage, or do you want to have a bit more skill boost or VDP damage? It really just comes down to what you need a tiny bit more for the dungeon you're playing through, but their main appeal is this active skill. It's the active skill that makes them valuable. And for their weapon assist, they do retain that same active skill, but they have 3 times or movement time buff and 3 times attack buff. So for ranking dungeons, this adds animation time, slows you down, less ideal. But if you need to actually have large damage output with your board changer, this can be a meaningful weapon assist. So if you are someone who has no 15-15 board changers whatsoever, I would keep them in their base form, because having one will definitely make a difference for those situations. But if you have multiple other options available, it might be worth just getting one of these as a weapon assist, because having a buff tied to your board changer is meaningful, and it's a 15-turn cooldown from 14 turns, so you're not paying much more for a significant amount of extra utility for this active skill. And at the same time, you're probably going to roll lots of Birdmen from this event. Like, I rolled lots of the bottom rarity in the Sin Dragons, so you're probably going to pick them up anyways, and you're going to have them as weapon assist potentially. For the Shark Boy, jeez, what a silly name. I don't know why it makes me chuckle. But Shark Boy, their main appeal, I honestly feel, is going to be their weapon assist. Because their weapon assist, like, it's going to be hard to justify using this as a sub. Like, it's not providing enough value to justify using them as a sub compared to other options. But their weapon assist is quite exciting, because it's got 2 skill bind resist, 3 enhanced water orbs, and an active skill that gives you an attack buff, a movement time buff, unlocking the board, and getting a column, or 2 columns, I should say, of water orbs. So useful active skill if it does charge up, but I feel like this weapon assist is kind of made for Yomi Norza teams, because Yomi plus Norza teams oftentimes have skill bind resist issues. I've been using Kuribo as a weapon assist solution for skill bind resist. I might utilize this if I don't need Kuribo's active skill, because with this weapon assist, you get 40% more skill bind resist, which is meaningful if you are using cards such as Yomi, who is probably your leader, or Friend's leader, who lacks skill bind resist. Lamp doesn't have it, Blue Odin doesn't have it. You can now cover it much more easily, and you're also providing passive damage alongside of it. No real drawback necessarily to this weapon assist, aside from being restricted to mono water, and of course skill bind resist may not necessarily be needed, but it's not the end of the world using it just for the orb enhances and possibly a useful active skill that charges up. I think it's pretty helpful, and because it's a bottom rarity, you're probably going to roll many of these if you do roll this event modestly hard. For the next 5-star card, they have a pitifully low attack stat. So this 10 combo, 7 combo is not going to be meaningful. I don't think it's going to be meaningful outside of their weapon assist, because in their evolved form, same terrible attack multiplier, not enough utility provided overall. And in their weapon assist, it's much more exciting because you get cloud resist and 3 team health awakenings. That's a noticeable improvement to your recovery metric and cloud resist. And you actually have an active skill that's not bad. You have 2 turns of 75% damage reduction, which could be 2 effective skill boosts, because 4 times effective health granted to you might make you survive whatever is hitting you on floor 1, or lets you survive those big hits later on in the dungeon. So useful active skill if it does charge up. You also get a modestly rainbow board changer. You're missing just fire, but 4 colors plus hearts can activate for rainbow teams. So pretty flexible weapon assist overall. And the main drawback is it just is quite similar to Amatsu's loot or mostly because Amatsu's loot has 2 team RCVs, Cloud Resist, Double Haste, and Skill Boost. So Amatsu's loot has more upfront value immediately when you enter a dungeon, so that can be helpful as well, but you get more RCV from this weapon assist throughout the dungeon. So it's a matter of deciding which one you need more. Amatsu's weapon does provide more effective skill boost, so that could be an advantage if you need to transform by a certain time, but considering this is a bottom rarity card, I'm quite impressed with how strong this weapon assist is. And now we come to the Raccoon, who I feel is the weakest of all the cards in this event. In their base form, they get 4 skill boosts. They could have less in their evolved form, but 4 skill boosts in their base form, and they have a system-like active skill. They have a 7-turn cooldown with haste. So with 4 of these active skills, you can get orb generation every turn, and that'll give you a column of hearts and a column of dark orbs. Not a bad thing to have if you're trying to farm something and you can activate off of those types of orbs. Can provide some value, but I feel like it's relatively niche and situational overall. Their evolved form has more damage output, so if you need a bit more damage output and you can hit those 7 combos, definitely can help. And they do have fixed 15 seconds of orb movement time, so I guess it can be a little easy to use if you like matching crosses, but I feel like crosses are a little awkward along with just health multiplier. For their weapon assist, they give Tape and L, so 2 relatively niche awakenings, but they are awakenings that are meaningful if you do need to have both of them at the same time, especially. I like to have at least 1 L unlock on my team anywhere, because I have the option of removing locked orbs without an active skill, so it can be helpful there. And this active skill will also provide 2 turns of haste, so if you inherit this on a lower cooldown card, it can be helpful. You also get a bunch of columns of hearts and dark, but I feel like it's more so like if you're farming something, it's a way to hasten back up your active skills. I don't think I would utilize it for transforming as much because it's a 15-turn cooldown. Even if you inherit on something with a 2-turn cooldown, 17 skill boosts are required to get it to work. It may be difficult to achieve that anyways. And if your leader transforms at 18, not necessary. So I feel it's more of a situational weapon assist overall. So, do I plan on rolling and dream rolls? I do plan on rolling in the Mystic and Spectres event because these are new cards, and as I mentioned in all my videos, getting something new is meaningful because it can help advance your monster box, it can fill in gaps and holes that you had otherwise, and it just makes you able to build a wider variety of teams to tackle harder content. So, rolling for new cards is great, especially when the new cards have value. Of course, not every single card will be one of the featured ones, but just like Sin Dragons and Key Heroes, you're going to be picking up most of the bottom rarity cards just by organically rolling anyways, so that definitely is meaningful. And for my dream 7-star card, I would love to get Sienna because I do have Gillian, but I feel like Sienna is definitely more future-proof by comparison. Like, just the bigger defense and damage reduction multiplier gives you much more stability against gravity hits. You also have VDP damage from your leaders, which is something Gillian did not have, which could make him struggle a little bit more because it might be harder to kill things because your leaders are not providing that VDP damage while just getting voided out because they're quadruple 7 combo. For my dream 6-star card, the Yusil, I can't pronounce her name, would be wonderful because it gives me a wonderful solution to bind Awoken Binds and unable to match orb effect clearing. I don't have Beach Planner, I don't have Christmas Tamandra, I don't have any truly good card, I don't have Sloth either. I don't have any truly great card to use as a sub for countering those mechanics, and she would definitely fill that gap. She has skill boost, she can help me transform. Her weapon assist could even be useful as well, so I would just like to have one for that reason alone. That's one issue, that's one kind of hole in my monster box that I'm always looking to try and fill. And for the bottom rarity cards, it doesn't matter as much because I honestly feel like I'll be picking them up anyways, but maybe the Shark Boy might be helpful, or Birdman. But with Birdman, I'm probably going to get a bunch of them anyways, so I'll have just more 15-15 board changers. Never a bad thing to have, but I don't know if I'll need that many, but I'm not going to say no at the same time. So, in conclusion, this is a strong event to roll in. Like, there are tremendously powerful cards, and in my opinion, all the feature cards have meaning. Like, they have a place in your monster box, I feel. Like, it's worth to roll in, and the lineup will rotate and change throughout the duration of the event, with each week featuring a different 7-star card having a slightly increased rate-up chance. So if you are hunting for a particular one, check the lineup to make sure that you are like rolling when the card you want is being featured. But with that being said, let me know what you think about this event in the comments below. Do you think these cards are worth pursuing? And if you were to acquire these cards, how would you utilize them? Or who are your dream rolls overall? Either way, hopefully you all have a fantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pad adventures. Have a truly glorious 2020 and 2021, and happy puzzling.